Hey everyone, it's Cassia and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, we make lots of productivity and lifestyle content here, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. My theme for January is inspired by those aesthetic line art drawings and paintings. I painted this type of art to hang in my bedroom for my bedroom makeover, and I just fell in love with the aesthetic and vibes from it. I also wanted to do a simpler setup for January with brighter colors to show you guys an easy theme that still looks really sophisticated, modern, and artistic. I limited myself to only a few stationery items for this setup, but I will link a playlist with all my other setups if you'd like to try out mediums such as gouache, watercolor, or use your bullet journal as a scrapbook. After 2020, I think we can all agree that a bright and simple fresh start is a necessity at this point. For the line art, I printed designs from online like Pinterest and Google, and I used a tracing method to get the design onto my bullet journal. You can also do this painting by eye since most of the aesthetic comes from the imperfections in the lines. I used 05 Pigma Micron fine liner and alphabet stamps for the title. For the final step of the cover page, I added some abstract, colorful blobs to accent the line art. I used the more neutral colors from my Zebra mild liners because I didn't want it to be too bright, but I still wanted it to be colorful. You can put these shapes anywhere, there's no right or wrong answer, which is why I love this setup and what makes it so easy to look great. Before I start setting up my monthly calendar, I just wanted to quickly show you how I transfer my designs onto the paper. I print out the design and tape it onto the paper, tracing over the line art really sharply with a pencil to kind of make marks on my bullet journal underneath. Then I scribble over my paper with the edge of my pencil, and the indentation of the tracing will start to show through as white. Then you can finally trace over everything with whatever marker you want to choose. I hope that made sense, but as I said before, you can definitely just do it by eye. You don't need to do this whole tracing thing. Of course, I'm a perfectionist, so I could not help myself. But yeah, I just use stamps to write out the days of the week, and if you watch my 2021 setup, you'll know that these are my new favorite pieces of stationery, though they're pretty hard to use with longer nails because I really struggled this time. I just highlighted the days with a gray mild liner and wrote the dates in with my fine liner pen. I wanted the calendar to be kept really clean and white to really draw attention to the designs on the corners of the pages. I just put my YouTube growth tracker on the side of the calendar, and I kept all my lines really thin and barely noticeable to mimic the style of the artworks. Above my YouTube tracker, I just put a small drawing of a girl's back and drew the blobs in those same 5 colors around her and in the corner. Also, I didn't just use my mild liners, I used a Tombow dual brush pen for the yellow and a Crayola Super Tip for the tan. For visual interest, I added some black lines with the Tombow hard tip brush pen, and I purposely drew those off center from the shapes of the doodles so it would have more of a layered effect. I just did a calligraphy for the January title, but it still felt pretty bare, so I just added some more designs on the bottom right corner. The next 2 spreads aren't super artistic, but they are very planning heavy, so I divided them with a dual-sided face design to kind of split up the material and make it look more interesting. I wanted the design to be big enough to be the focal point, but not too big that it takes space away from my planning needs. I really love the way that this design turned out. It's just so easy to do with such simple tools like a pen and marker, but it really looks like it could be in an art exhibit. I'm a pre-med student, so over my winter break, I plan to start studying for the MCAT exam, which I'm very nervous for. I want to take it in the spring, so I just included some boxes for the test dates, any reminders regarding registration, and of course study resources that I can take advantage of. I plan to make a few videos about how I'm studying for the exam, so please let me know down below if you'd like to see how I plan and what I'm doing to study. I didn't have a lot of space for another section on the page, but it did look kind of empty, so I just added a little quote saying, "You got this," with some stamps for some much needed motivation. Next up is my packing spread. I'm moving back to college for the spring. I just wanted to get organized and make lists of everything I needed to buy for my new place and pack up things that I already have. I used the Tombow hardtip brush pen for the calligraphy as well as the boxes and the drop shadows. Again, I wanted to keep my spreads really geometric and boxy to keep focus on the drawing in the center. For my playlist spread, I always struggle with the layout of these spreads, but all I did was print out the album cover of some songs I've been listening to and glued them into my notebook. I just drew 4 rectangles and filled in the song name and artist with the music controls below for each. For this, I used my Tombow hardtip brush pen for pretty much the entire spread. Also, if you have any favorite songs or artists that you're listening to in the new year, please leave them down in the comments below. One of my goals for this year is to branch out in my music taste and really listen to a lot more music than I did, especially since we have so much more time now in quarantine. For the title, I used my stamping set on the bottom left side, and then I overlapped some shapes in the top and bottom corners with my markers and hardtip brush pen. This spread is actually one of the reasons why I really love this theme and this layout, because you don't actually always have to draw intricate line art drawings of people or girls. You can just doodle some shapes and then vary the sizes and the colors, and it looks so cute and put together. I finished off the page with drop shadows for each box, and we are moving on. I use the same pencil tracing technique for the drawing of the girl in the bottom right corner, and then I outlined her with the same Pigma Micron fine liner in 05 that I've been using throughout this setup. I always want to keep my reflections page pretty bare and blank so I can maximize space for journaling, because whenever I start I tend to write a lot. But using the line art and different colors as well as the serif font stamps really enhanced the design of a normally word heavy spread. I just added some abstract shapes around the girl and ended off the spread by drawing a thin box outline over the entire page. Okay, and we are finally at my weekly spread. Honestly, using the stamp set got pretty tedious and I couldn't just not use them, so I just decided not to subject you guys to watching me struggle with the stamps for 7 days. But I ended up just highlighting the boxes with my gray mild liner since I didn't want to draw out boxes for each day, but I wanted to still keep them separate. I found this picture of a girl with flowers and leaves around her, and I drew that for my design on the page, orienting my colors around the contours of the drawing and sticking to the similar colors. You'll notice that throughout all my layouts, I tried not to mix too much colors together. So like I didn't want to mix the peachy color with the teal color. So each spread kind of had its own color scheme and looked more cohesive. I just drew some more doodles in the corners and we are done. So this is how my January bullet journal setup turned out. I've also set up all my weekly spreads in advance for the busy month, so make sure you head over to my Instagram and TikTok for a more in-depth flip through. It'll be linked below. I love the simplicity and bright vibes of this theme. It's a much needed refresher after 2020. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. Also comment below what your theme for January is. I can always use the inspiration. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!